Hello, and welcome to another Teen and TV video. In today's video, we will talk about the Nintendo Switch game, released just last week, which is Pokemon Monster Hunter Rise. No wait, it's Pokemon, Breath of the Wild. No, dang it, it's Pokemon, Legends of Arceus. Or is it Arceus? So, just a bit of an FYI here, we are not hardcore gamers. If we are to classify ourselves, we are just your normal run-of-the-mill casual gamers, who simply enjoy playing games during our free time. With that said, we are here to give our 2 cents on some of the games that we are playing, focusing on the point of view of fellow casual gamers like ourselves. So, onto the game at hand, Pokemon Arceus. Opinions towards the game are fairly split, and after playing the game for a few hours now, there are definitely a few things that I wish I knew about the game before buying it. Number 1. It is not a vast open world like Zelda, Breath of the Wild. Now, this one is quite long, because I have lots to unpack here. When I first saw the trailer for Arceus, my immediate thought was, finally! An open world like Zelda! And I'm sure, I was not alone with that excitement. I have played Pokemon games for a long time now, my first was Yellow, and their usual format of an open world has been fine, considering the limitations in the hardware at that time. It did become boring, and I admit, I've stopped playing for a time. I am one of those that are just clueless whenever I see the newer generations of Pokemon. Like, what is this even? However, along came the masterpiece, which is Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and that game is even the first game to be launched in Switch, way back 2017. And I have played several Zelda games, my first was Oracle of Seasons, so I could definitely see the huge leap that the team behind Zelda did when they made Breath of the Wild. Sadly, nowhere half the effort has been made for the first Switch game of Pokemon, which is Sword and Shield. The Pokemon team has stubbornly stuck to their old format, which is a huge letdown, considering what Zelda, a game released 3 years earlier, has managed to achieve. Anyway, I'm ranting now. So when Pokemon Arceus came out, given the trailer that they had, one would think that they have finally opened up the world. No more annoying bumps and streams that serve as boundaries to your predetermined path. No more supposed open world, but is actually a narrow path with lots of set dressing. I could finally jump off a cliff, just like the first thing I did when I played Breath of the Wild. And then, I played. Now to be fair, the world in Arceus is more open compared to Sword and Shield, especially in the field lands. However, instead of being inspired by Breath of the Wild, the team behind Pokemon likely took a page from Monster Hunter Rise, which is another Switch game made by Capcom. Interestingly, when I played Rise, I remember thinking if only the monsters here were like Pokemon. Looks like my wish came true. Just like Monster Hunter Rise, in Arceus, you have access to one town which serves as the base of your operations. You are then assigned tasks, which entail going to several places, and to go to those places, instead of you walking towards your destination, you get a loading screen, after which you appear right beside your camp. Now I did not mind it that much for Monster Hunter Rise, since it was actually my first time to play the franchise. But I am disappointed that Pokemon Arceus took that same route. It's true that at the later parts of all Pokemon games, you usually just fly to your destination, but I did not expect that to happen at very early in the game. The immersion is just a bit broken because of the loading screen. On the plus side though, the field lands are vast and there are still lots of areas to explore. And just like in Monster Hunter Rise, there are fewer restrictions in the field lands. When I say restrictions, I mean, say for instance this bridge. When you are in the town, you don't get to fall off the bridge or step on the water. In the field lands, you get to do all those, although of course, your health will take a hit. Still, those small details are what I love about the open world. Is this a deal breaker for me? Although I'm disappointed, I'm still happy with the direction that the Pokemon team is going with on this aspect. Here's to hoping that the next game will have Breath of the Wild scale of open worldliness. Number 2. It does not follow the gym format. If you're familiar with the Pokemon games, you'll know that they mostly follow this formula. Defeat 8 gym leaders to gain a chance to compete in the ultimate big league of Pokemon duels, and be the very best no one ever was. Now, I can't be 100% certain since I'm at the early parts of the game, but it seems that gym leaders won't be making an appearance in this installment. Just for comparison, usually an hour into the game, I'd have defeated one gym leader already. But several hours into Pokemon Arceus, I just defeated 2 Pokemon. I guess these noble Pokemons take the place of gym leaders now, and I'm not sure if I like it. Points to trying out new things I guess, but given how things are set up in the game, making use of gym leaders still seem feasible, in my opinion. Like how about putting a gym leader in here? I have expected that before swapping out the gym leaders, they could have released first a game that makes use of Arceus' improved open world format, while still retaining most of the same Pokemon formula in place. But hey, I'm no developer, so what do I know? One might argue that the same thing happened to Breath of the Wild, with the usual Zelda dungeons becoming more like puzzles. And while I agree that it was a bummer, the great improvement in the overall physics of the game more than made up for it in my opinion. And speaking of physics. Number 3. Catching and battling like never before. Arceus has definitely come a long way compared to its predecessors in terms of catching Pokemon. In the past, save for Sword and Shield, you don't get to see the Pokemon that you will be encountering. It's similar to drawing lots, hoping that the battle screen will show a Pokemon worth catching. Sword and Shield did address this, and that game started with showing Pokemon as they are instead of just randomly showing up in the battle screen. Arceus took it a step further, and with this game, you don't even need to engage with a Pokemon to catch one. You could sneak in the grass, lure them with berries, throw a Pokeball while their backs are turned. It's how catching Pokemon should be if it were reality. I personally love this new method, since in most games that I play, I love having my characters sneak around and getting away with stuff. I also love how there are indicators that signal if a Pokemon is likely to be caught. In the past, you throw a Pokeball and say a prayer hoping you will catch the Pokemon. I did try pressing some buttons which they say helps increase chances of success, but I have mixed results. Now at least you won't be blindly wasting your Pokeball on what is a sure futile attempt. Similar to catching Pokemon, battle screens no longer load whenever you are in a battle, and this helps add to the realism of the game. When 2 Pokemon are in battle, you could actually walk, just like an umpire in a boxing match. And just like an umpire, you could also get hit, a detail that I was happy to see when it first happened to me. And not unlike street brawls, you could find yourself in a 3-way sort of situation with your Pokemon being attacked by more than one opponent. In addition, their fighting animations have greatly improved. Given I have barely scratched the surface of the game, but so far, the moves of the Pokemon are obviously given more thought here than in any other game in the franchise. There is variety in the moves, and speaking of moves, you have different styles available depending on mastery of a move, and you don't even need to delete a move now. More on that perhaps on another video, but the battling mechanics are easily the greatest improvements of the game for me. Oh, and by the way, you, the trainer, could die because of a Pokemon attack. And that is even outside of a Pokemon battle, even while seemingly frolicking along the meadows. So yeah, this added dimension of realism is something I really approve of and makes for a great experience. Number 4. Play Fetch. Admittedly, I haven't played all of the Pokemon games. However, out of all the Pokemon games I've played, including Mystery Dungeon, Pokemon Arceus seems to have the most side quests. Which is fine by me, since side quests are one of my favorite parts of the games that I've played, such as Skyrim, Witcher, Assassin's Creed. Just completing the Pokédex with hardly any human interaction could easily become a monotonous task, so the increase in number of side quests is definitely a welcome change. So far though, those quests are more like merely fetching items, and do not seem to impact the story in any way. In the future, it would be pretty cool to have the side quests affect the main storyline even just a little bit. Number 5. Grinding for Pokédex. Gotta catch 'em all, and I wanna be the very best, are 2 of Pokemon's known taglines. As I've mentioned in one of my earlier points, defeating gym leaders is no longer the main objective of this game. Instead of puny humans, you get to battle a berserk form of a somewhat divine Pokemon. Now the other objective of Pokemon games still remains, which is to catch all Pokemon via completing the Pokédex. However, for better or for worse, Mechanics for completing the Pokédex has changed. In the past, you just have to capture one Pokémon per species, and you have that species entry in the Pokédex. With Arceus, you don't need to capture the Pokémon to gain their entry in the Pokédex, which seems like a good thing, until you find out that even capturing the Pokémon is not enough to gain their Pokédex entry either. Instead of merely capturing Pokémon, you have a checklist of things to do and earn enough points based on that checklist in order to gain a Pokédex entry. On top of that, the checklist varies per Pokémon. While I appreciate the fact that it is realistic since filling up the Pokédex is like research, which is essentially what the checklists look like, I would have liked to suspend that grueling part of realism in favor of something more futuristic and admittedly easy. Like since Pokeballs are able to shrink Pokémon, isn't it possible for the Pokéball to capture data from the Pokémon living in it? I did easily find Pokémon that used to be difficult to find in other installments, like Pikachu and Eevee, so it makes me wonder and hope that we don't need to trade as much compared to other games in order to complete the whole Pokédex. I have a feeling though that I might need save files of other games, since of course. So, had I known those points, would I have bought Pokemon Legend of Arceus? Overall, I think I still would have bought it. Generally, the pros still outweigh the cons in my opinion. Given how I am enjoying it now, I did not regret pre-ordering this game. This is actually the first game that I pre-ordered, owing greatly to the open world anticipation. And even though you might be on the fence due to the different mechanics in this game compared to its predecessors, I think you'll find yourself staying up for one more hour. Just to increase your level one more time. Well, those are all my initial thoughts on Pokemon Legends of Arceus. Let me know your thoughts on this game as well. Hope you enjoy the video and thanks for watching.